Ooh, wee, what is up? What is good, y'all? It's your boy, man, the guy, back at it again with another video. I haven't done one of these chapter reviews in a long time, but I'm on break. The amount of gas I would have just dropped, I thought it's only fitting that I do a chapter review for the last 4 chapters, the Reverie Flashback. In my opinion, top 3 flashback in One Piece. Does it? I know it's not like a backstory, but it still counts as a flashback, right? Even though it happened in present time, we just got like more context. Yeah, whatever. It's not a backstory for real, but definitely top 3 flashback in One Piece. Um, I got a bunch of points from all 4 chapters. If you haven't seen my live reactions to those chapters, click there, or there. All 4 of the chapter reactions are up live on YouTube, Rumble, Twitch, wherever you like to view. And let's get right into it. This is like not really their introduction because we got that on Lucio with the 4 captains, but this is like them really starting to put in the work. Like they're engaging in warfare, they're destroying food reserves, supply ships, starting coup d'etats in certain nations like in Assassin's Creed. I talk about Assassin's Creed a lot if y'all see my Vinland Saga reactions. If you have not played Assassin's Creed Valhalla, you're totally missing out. A main part of the story mode is you're going to other nations, starting coup d'etats, making alliances with the people that are coming into power, basically doing the same thing the United States has been doing for like 50 years. Some real politician stuff. So this is why I'm really hype about what the Rev is doing, because it reminds me a lot of Assassin's Creed. But this is like the start of the final war, in my opinion. I think the Rev is going to be like the main force. Obviously, the Rev's going to be the main force because it's their job to like overthrow the world government, and the Straw Hats going to be involved later. But like, yeah, they declared war. They're starting to do war. Coup d'etats left and right. And I think that we'll talk about it a little bit more later on, but I feel like I know how the Straw Hats are going to get involved. We're going to get into that later on. But the subordinates of the Revolutionary are a lot stronger than I thought. I have made comments before thinking that their abilities weren't really suited for 1v1 scenarios, and I have been proven wrong. Karasu and Morley were able to fight nerfed admirals one-on-one. So I'd say they're probably around like, I don't know, maybe like YC2, maybe a YC3, like maybe be able to beat a Jack, go extreme diff with a Queen type. And I thought they were just like, you know, good for reconnaissance and infiltration and stuff like that. But they might actually be like pretty good combatants as well. I don't like the lighting. We're gonna do that. It's kind of worse, but it's not uneven, so I'm okay with that. Karasu, I was talking about abilities. We didn't really get Morley's back like that. He might just be a giant with a spear, but Karasu's abilities are kind of cool. Like the suit fruit, I was wrong. I thought it was like a Logi. I mean, I thought it was like a mythical zone or a special zone fruit. And it seems like it's a Logia because suit is like a natural occurrence after fire is burned. But you can turn the suit into living beings like crows. I think it's probably just crows. It might not be though, because I don't know why it would be limited to just crows. We'll find out in the future. And one of the really cool things I saw he do, he left like some suit on Sabo's shoulder in chapter 1084, and it turned into a bird when Sabo called his name. So like he can, my theory is that wherever he leaves his suit, he can still like listen, he could still interact with it by turning it into an animal. And that's pretty impressive and pretty broken for certain situations. So Rev's subordinates are looking pretty elite. I'm not gonna lie. Sabo. My guy. See, my headcanon before we got this flashback is that Sabo fought both Fujitora and Green Bull for a small amount of time so the rest of the Revs could get away with Kuma. That didn't happen at all. Sabo had like really no combat feats in this flashback. So now his standing is kind of shaky for me. I have no idea how strong he was. I used to think he was around like the Law, the Yamatos, and Zoros of the world. But now I have nothing to back that up. It's just pure headcanon at this point. And I want to know where y'all rank Sabo. So is he like above YC1s, like those people I mentioned? Is he around like Yonko first tier, Yonko commander, second tier, might be Yonko level? Where do y'all rank Sabo at? Sabo has like a new move, the Rook's Gambit, but it looked just like a normal Fire Fist. When I was reading it in my live reaction, I thought it was Eames like counter move. But if you read the description, like the move means when a knight checks the king when surrounded by its other pieces. And that would only make sense for Sabo because he was trying to attack Emu, the king, while he was surrounded by the girls, say. So it had to have been a Sabo move, but it looked just like a normal Fire Fist. So maybe the anime will make it look cooler or something, but then again, I don't know how many other different ways you can show a Fire Fist. We seen right after the Fire Fist, the Denden Mushi take a picture of Sabo with the elders transforming in the background. I just want to know, how did they not get any elders in the picture? Because that would have been crazy to put in the newspaper. Had just like this giant monster behind Sabo while he's standing over him. But yeah, that was one of the things in that chapter that just completely threw me off. I'm like, how did they only see Sabo when he's literally being surrounded? Another thing about Sabo, I thought was pretty cool. The little VPN trick he pulled with the Denden Mushi on when he was leaving with Lucy. It kind of like, boosts up his IQ, because we knew Sabo was smart. Like, he was an avid reader when he was a kid. His whole dream was to write a book recording all the stuff he sees in the world. And it just shows like some more high IQ plays by Sabo. And I like to see that. Give him a little bit more character, or, drill into his character a little bit more. Because we already knew that he was pretty smart. Last thing about Sabo, he got done really, really bad. I know he just got hit once with the little tail, but the tail did a lot of damage. In 1086, he looked terrible. Like he was damn near on the verge of death. Which again is crazy because, like I said, weakest he could be is probably like a queen. Imagine Queen getting one shot by an attack. Just shows that Emu is kind of like. Speaking of Emu, it's the next person we're going to talk about. This may not be connected to Emu at all, but the guards were talking about the Phantom Room in, 1084, I believe. I think the Phantom Room was either the room that Emu was always in, like the flowers and stuff, or it's the room that keep the Straw Hat. Maybe they'll dive in more to it later on, but I have no idea. Like, no idea at all. They didn't really give much context to it. But onto Emu for real. They showed a lot of their personality in the 2 chapters they were in. It got fed up with Cobra's conversation. They just walked up the stairs and sat on the chair, the empty throne, with no hesitation. When Cobra was like, oh, I've heard the name Im before, just cut him off and kill that idea where it stands. Wanted to use the Mother Flame or the device that uses the Mother Flame. Still don't know which one it is. With no hesitation. And he said like people are dying with no consequence. I feel like all of those together shows that Im has like a real authoritarian, totalitarian type personality. Like they don't care. They do what they want. Everybody else has to be okay with it. And the consequences of their actions, they just don't really care for too much. Like, Im is just, I'm the ruler. I do what I want. Everybody has to be okay with it. I know it was technically Eva speculating, but I feel like Oda was literally spoon feeding us that, hey, Im's from the Void Century and was one of the founders and they had the perpetual youth surgery done on them. There's not very many things in One Piece that are actually stated to us as like, yay, this is a fact. It's more like we hear somebody else say something like, oh, Kaido is said to be the strongest. People say if it's a one-on-one, bet on Kaido. When that's literally Oda telling us like, yo, this dude is him. So I feel like, I believe that that's Oda pretty much confirming like, hey, y'all were right. Im is old. Im's had the surgery done on them. Strong as shit. Also, another thing that gives credence to that is the girl said in 1086, I believe, when they were talking about the Mother Flame, they said the world moves at the will of the creator. Pretty much telling us like, hey, he was one of the creators of the world government. Like I said, technically it was speculation, but I don't see Oda like straight up having Im say like, oh yeah, I'm from the Void Century. I had the perpetual youth surgery done on me. I feel like this is the closest to confirmation that we're gonna get. Im seemed to be really close to Lily, not Vivi, to Lily. And that's why he's so interested in Vivi. I remember like when it was stabbing the picture of Luffy, cutting up the picture of Blackbeard and all that stuff. He seemed to like leave the picture of Vivi alone. It could be because of his ties to Lily. I know a lot of people speculating like they may have been lovers in the past, may have been comrades. I believe they were comrades. You know, she was one of the founders. He was one of the founders. They were one of the founders. We don't know if he was a guy or a girl yet. Yeah, they were one of the founders, and then Lily betrayed them, and it hurt his feelings really bad. But yeah, they seem to have a close connection. I cannot wait for this Void Century flashback because it's got to be amazing. It's going to have to be amazing. There's no way it's not going to be amazing. There's so much Oda has been building up that literally whatever he throws at us, it's just going to be like, oh my gosh, this is great. Like literally this whole flashback. Just Oda just throwing stuff at us that he prepared. The whole final saga is literally him just throwing stuff at us that he had prepared. Whether it's like the Seraphims, meeting Vegapunk, Blackbeard, Shanks, all the stuff that we've just been waiting for, he's just giving it to us now, so it seems super hype. I feel like the Void Century flashback is gonna follow the same letter. Last thing about, even before we move on to Lily, is that Im seems to be super powerful. I don't know if it's like a mythical zone, god fruit like Luffy has. They're a shadow entity because they're still silhouetted. I don't know what they are, but they are strong. Like almost, like I said earlier, they almost one-shot Sabo. Took 2 shots and Cobra was out of here. I don't know what. I can't wait to figure out what powers they have or what makes them so strong, but they are very, very strong. Queen Lily, not too much on her. I believe she was probably like the original D-Clan. I have no idea what the D-Clan is. My best guess was like it was a faction of people that thought that the world government may turn evil, and you know, putting in preparations or steps to stop them from becoming like side tangent a little bit. I believe like the ancient kingdom might have been a little bit tyrannical, and the 20 kingdoms came together to, like on our America stuff, no taxation without representation. We think y'all are unjust, so we're gonna come together, we're gonna overthrow you, get our own land. But they took it to the extreme. They wiped out all history regarding the ancient kingdom. And I feel like the D clan may have been created to make sure that the new kingdom, the world government, doesn't become tyrannical like that. They failed. Because in the little flashback we got with Sabo, Ace, and Luffy, they were just like, oh, you want a D in your name? So it makes me feel like it's not really like a bloodline thing. Like, it can be a bloodline thing. Obviously, like the Monkey D family, the D gets passed down. But I feel like possibly anybody could become a part of the D clan because they're just like a group of people, that are for good and opposed to evil. I personally believe that Vivi's gonna go to Alabasta, find the letter that Queen Lily wrote, and give it to Morgans. And it's gonna be spread across the world, big newspaper. It's gonna be one of the major events that start more coup d'etats everywhere. Because obviously we got 8 kingdoms out of, what did Marco say? They're 10 million islands. Say maybe 7 islands per country or whatever. Whatever it is, there are a lot more people that are still under the world government's rule. I think there are 170 maybe countries that go to the Reverie, something around that. So if only 8 of them are rebelling, the world government still has a lot more people on their side. So we're gonna need something major to, cascade more people into going against the world government. And we got some more on that later, but I do think that's going to be one of the major things. And the major thing that Aang was upset about with Lily is that her blunder caused the poneglyphs to spread. Now, what he meant by that, I personally have no idea. However, Mr. Morge had a great idea that she might have been a past user of the pawpaw fruit, and she literally just smacked the poneglyphs across the world and allowed them to spread. That's the best idea I could think of. Nothing else comes to mind about how she could have, maybe she got the Kazubis together to craft the poneglyphs and then have the D clan spread them out. I have no idea. I guess we'll find out in time. On to the world government as a whole. We talked about Emu, but this is the rest of the world government. Starting with the Holy Knights. I believe they're Emu's external combatants, kind of like the Navy SEALs. Y'all go out, do my bidding out in the world. They're led by Figurlin Garling, who I believe may have been super duper strong in his prime. Because if he really is Shanks' dad or grandpa, in One Piece we don't have many. Yeah, we don't have many examples of someone who's strong as hell. It just comes from a bloodline of weaklings. Obviously, if you get a broken devil fruit, you're you're kind of excluded from that. But if this is really Shanks' grandpa, or Shanks' dad, or Shanks' uncle, it only would make sense that they be when they were in their prime, they'd be relative to Shanks now. Shanks is top 3 in the verse right now. Garland is probably super strong, and he may have fought at God Valley, because if he was the king at the time, and you have a bunch of pirates run up on your stuff, and then you have pirates and marines trying to fight them, it only makes sense that he would intervene, help out help out Roger and Garp, defeat Rox. There were 9 Holy Knights we've seen. Could be good matchups for the Straw Hat Pirates. However, my personal opinion is that they're going to be diversified between Straw Hat fights and Revolutionary fights, and maybe some Grand Fleet fights. I don't think it's going to be the 9 Straw Hat captains, commanders, whatever they call, versus the 9 Holy Knights. I think it's going to be, you know, we're going to be fighting a lot of people in the final war. So I don't think it's going to be straight on like that. And the main thing with the Holy Knights is that they can dress celestial dragons. That's really like a superpower in the world of One Piece. Because celestial dragons are like the top beings, rule over the world, ascended to the gods. And they're people that can put them in place. So what are they? You can check a god. What are you? Got to be strong. Or at least have mad rank. Maybe not all of them are super powerful, but they gotta have a lot of rank. The girls say, I believe these are like internal combatants, like, think maybe CIA, possibly. They deal with the internal affairs of the world government, of Eames will. Pretty much they're the only people that we know of that know that Eames exists. And it pretty much gives them direct orders. And we saw in some chapters, they were just like, are you sure this is what you want to do? But they end up just rationalizing Eames' will, because I don't think Eames going to go for any, like, you know, rethinking, any type of, like, hey, let's sit down and talk about this. No, it was just like, okay, yeah, Lucia, why do you want to destroy it? Because they're close? Yikes. Well, I mean, they have been, like, rebelling a little bit. It's like close to Egghead. They may like rethink what they got going on if we blow up. All they do is just like act out Eames' will, even if they don't really want to at first. I believe they are all Mythical Zone users. Their transformations were silhouetted, of course, but a couple of them did look like animals. So we're rooting for Mythical Zones. Possibly all god fruits, because TCB scans did call them warrior gods. I know the officials translated it as godheads, but you know, if they are like warrior gods, that could be nice. Like if they're like 5 more, possibly 6 with Eam of Luffy's fruit, we could get some really nice fights with the girls, say, even though they're like ancient. And the girls are also in possession of the Mother Flame / ancient weapon. I have no idea what Oda was cooking with that, because on one hand, Ian was like, let's use Vegapunk's creation. On the other hand, the Rev were like, yo, Vegapunk would never do that. A lot of people believe it's just like the Rev having high hopes for Vegapunk, but I don't understand why Oda would write that. Like, I can understand like why they would have faith in Vegapunk, but what would be the purpose of writing that into the story? Like, we can see it from like an outside view because we're not in the story. So I believe best bet is that the Mother Flame is just like a power source that allowed the ancient weapon to activate. However, once again, we will find out because we don't know. We have no idea. CP0, short, sweet. They were tasked with capturing Vivi. They did for a little bit, but she got away. But they have new members now. They're not as high as Lucci, Kaku, and Stussy, like the masked assassins, but everybody from CP9 is now officially CP0. Because it'd just be too hard to create new characters, right? I guess. The Navy, they were sent to Empty Bluffs Island, which I think was in present tense. So we may get another raid. Because I know when we first met the Cross Guild and stuff, we had the little flashback of Crocodile taking out the Navy. And they said that Crocodile was seen on Empty Bluff. So maybe that was referring to that. But I'm hoping that it wasn't referring to that. And they're going again. And they're bringing the Seraphim with them, because we met the 3 new Seraphim while they said Crocodile was seen on Empty Bluffs Island. Praying for Mihawk feats. Praying for Croc feats. And also Fujitora fought Green Bull. I have no idea how Fujitora still has his job. I don't know how long he's gonna have his job for. Because, like, obviously I'm anti-Navy for the pirates and all. But from just like a military perspective, you can't have somebody doing exact opposite of your mission while you're on a mission. Like, insubordination is like one thing, but directly interfering with the operation you have going on, like, that just can't be allowed. So Fuji may be out of a job. Last couple notes I have, just miscellaneous stuff. Bonnie, not really sure what role she played in the Reverie Flashback, why she was there in the first place, other than to be like, oh, y'all are here, cool, I'm gonna go to Egghead now. It may possibly tie into the Kuma backstory, because we still haven't got much anything on that. Or she could just have been there so she can relay the info to the Straw Hat Pirates about like what actually happened, rather than reading what happened in the newspaper. Charlos, the bum, still after Shirahoshi, and he got attacked by Leo and Sai, somehow survived. Freaking attack Sai did crack the island, and Charlos was able to just withstand that, because it said attempted murder of Celestial Dragon instead of actual murder. But then right after that, they claimed they were the Straw Hats. This is how I believe the Straw Hats are going to get involved in the final war. The Grand Fleet is going to get them into some shit, because the Rev was there, declared war, and then you have, well, they not only did they attack Celestial, but they also destroyed the food reserves, and then you also have Leo and Sai attacking the Celestial as well. So they may just like group them in and be like, oh, the Straw Hat Pirates and the Revolutionary Army are working together to overthrow the government. I can see that would be an easy way to get the Straw Hats into the war, because unless like we get to Laugh Till First and they're like, hey, world government bad, need to be destroyed. Even if they do that, I don't see how Luffy would, because Luffy doesn't really care to be a hero. He doesn't really want to save the day. Unless he's dragged into the war by outside forces, I don't see him participating in the final war. Unless one of his friends were hurt. So if they drag the Grand Fleet into it and they're attacking the Grand Fleet, then I can see Luffy be like, hey, these are my friends, you can't do that. All out war. Last thing, Wapple. I hated Wapple pre this. He kind of like redeemed himself because he was pretty funny. But he saw everything. I believe he's gonna tell Morgan's everything, and that, along with Lily's letter, is really what's gonna kick off all the coup d'etats across the world. Like, they're gonna be like, oh, we've been lied to. Like, because not the 20 kingdoms, the people at the Reverie think that like they're the top of the world. Like, we're deciding what's going on. When they find out that, hey, there's somebody that's overruling everything y'all say, and they're the real ruler of the world, I believe that would cause them also to rebel a little bit and get more nations on our side going into the final war. Because right now we just got like Wano, Dressrosa, Alabasta, and like the kingdoms from the Grand Fleet. That's not going to be enough to start a whole new world government. And then like all the people worldwide know that they need to get their shit together. So I believe it's going to be a big thing, big story. Morgan's going to let everything leak because, even though he is like in cahoots with the world government, he is a journalist at heart and loves a good scoop. But yeah, man, this was a great flashback, a great 4 chapters. If I missed anything that y'all think is extremely important, let me know in the comment section below. If you made it this far, like the video, sub to the channel. We don't do chapter reactions that often. Not chapter reaction. We don't do chapter reviews that often, but we do a chapter reaction every Thursday, sometimes Wednesday, whenever the chapter drops. So if you're a big One Piece fan, sub to the channel, man. We're gonna have a great time here as always. And I appreciate y'all staying tuned. I think we have 2 more weeks left to break. Could be wrong. But I also stream anime on Tuesdays. So if you like more anime than just One Piece, slide through on my Twitch streams and watch some anime with me. That's all I got for y'all today. It's your boy Maniac the God, signing off. Y'all be safe and y'all be easy.